Woo! What's going on, guys? Arms Farm coming at you guys with another video. And today's video is about the guy that we love and hate, and it's about quarterback Jared Goff. Now, Detroit Lions GM confirms today that quarterback Jared Goff is the Lions' future quarterback going in 2023 and beyond. And really, I don't have any issues with it. 2022 was a really rough year. I thought for the Detroit Lions. Started off really rough, ended off on a really, really high note, winning the last 8 out of the 10 games they played. And the offense was a big part of watching this team excel, watching this team grow. Now, it's official again, by the way. Brad Holmes he's reminding us that he's our guy. He is QB1. This is like the second or third time now that Brad Holmes has came out and he has said, listen, Jared Goff is our guy. Now, finding a quarterback in the NFL is really, really hard, man. And what Jared Goff has done, it is special. He's done some things that a former quarterback here, number 9, did not do. Now, number 9 was here for 12 years. He put his life on the line, I thought here. But Jared Goff did some things here that number 9 never did, and one of them was securing the football, playing smarter football. Now, I'm not saying Jared Goff is a smarter quarterback, but this year he sure was. Because we know what Jared Goff has been in the past. He was a turnover machine, and he really, really stepped up his game this year and became a really smarter quarterback, I thought. Now, a lot of credit to that is Ben Johnson. We'll get on into a little bit. But this has been a top 3 offense all 2022. 2022. I think I put him in as a top 10 quarterback personally. I think he is. I have him ranked around the 9th quarterback in the NFL. He's top 10 though in most passing categories. He's also surrounded by a very good running game and a top flight O-line. That needs to continue. We need to continue to build around Goff, make him comfortable in this offense, and hopefully that continues. Now, when Goff came here, he was viewed as a salary dump. Okay, he really was. The reason why the Lions received 2 number 1 picks, 2 number 1 overall picks, and a 3rd round pick. Then we got Goff as well. Holmes thought otherwise. He had a hand in bringing Goff to LA back in 2016. If you didn't know, Brad Holmes was the director of college scouting over there. He was pretty much Les Snead's right-hand man. He handled draft boards. He handled the draft room. I think a few times with Les Snead there, under supervision, obviously. But Holmes was being groomed to be a GM someday. He's a brilliant young mind, a brilliant GM. Or back then, he was just a young football mind, pretty much a scout, like a college scout, and he was the head of the college scouting department for the LA Rams. And he was a big part in drafting Jared Goff to the LA Rams at the time. Now, let's not get it twisted. A lot of people think Brad Holmes drafted Jared Goff. He didn't draft him. But like I said, he was a huge hand in bringing him to the Rams. Now, you guys know how the story goes. He spent quite a bit of time as a Ram. Brad Holmes ended up becoming the Detroit Lions GM. And what happens? Matthew Stafford wants out. We just talked about it, the 2 1s in the 3rd. There's multiple teams that were involved in this trade that were going down. I think the Carolina Panthers were in there, Washington was in there. There might have been a couple other trades. The Saints might have been involved, but there was 4 or 5 different scenarios that Brad Holmes had. And one of them was he was going to go to Carolina. And, Stafford kind of squashed that. He said, no, man, I'd like to go to somewhere like San Francisco or LA. I actually think San Francisco was kind of involved, but they got involved a little bit too late. Kyle Shanahan decided to have a couple of drinky poos with his wife before making that decision if they wanted to make that trade. And, how the story goes, whatever. They did the deal with the LA Rams. Brad Holmes made the deal and brought over his guy that he scouted hard back in 2016, and that was Jared Goff, the California kid, coming to Detroit. So everyone was like, wow. I despised the trade at the time. You guys know my backstory on this. I hated the trade at the time because I was a big Stafford fan. I thought Stafford was done wrong here, not by Brad Holmes though, but I thought he was done wrong here by past GMs, past management. Never really done right here. Goes to LA, what's he do? Wins the Super Bowl. Surrounded him with some great players. Some people want to call it a super team. That's fine. But they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Stafford had a great year. Threw a bunch of picks, though, but threw a bunch of touchdowns and played pretty good football for the LA Rams, good enough to win a bowl. Like, I just always thought Stafford was good enough to win a bowl. Here, it just was never done properly. But Holmes believed in Goff. You don't bring over a guy that you drafted back in 2016 and bring him years later back in 2021 if you don't have any belief in him. So he brought him here, and he believed in Jared Goff. A lot of us didn't. I was one of them. I did not believe in Jared Goff. Like I said, I did not like the trade from the get-go. 2021 started off like a nightmare, and it got better. It got better after they threw Anthony Lynn in a garbage can and rolled it down a hill. That's pretty much when they started getting better. Dan Campbell took over the play calling. Ben Johnson, who was a tight ends coach at the time, got promoted to passing game coordinator, and he was working with Jared Goff firsthand. So those guys developed a relationship right away, and then poof, Jared Goff becomes this legitimate starting quarterback at the end of the 2021 season. We had his good years in 2017, 2018. 2019 wasn't that bad. Didn't throw a bunch of, but he was throwing a lot of picks. He was still throwing for yards, but he was coughing up the ball. Sean McVay was getting sick and tired of it. He ended up hurting his thumb in the process too. Jared Goff, it was just a mess. So that's why we ended up getting him in that trade. So the 2021, like I said, rolls around. He starts off bad. Boom. Enters a couple different scenarios. He's a legitimate starting quarterback. Okay, at the end of 2021. 2022 comes in, and I'm still on the fence. The one thing I've always said about Jared Goff, I've been super critical of him. Super critical. And I think a lot of it is justified. Maybe some of it is a little bit overblown. Some of it is through emotions. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it wasn't. But Jared Goff has convinced me that he is the guy going at least into 2023 and maybe even 2024. This team is not going to, I don't think this team is going to be looking for a quarterback early. I'm still on board with them grabbing one late to develop as a backup to him. Not necessarily take his job away from him, but I would like to see them not have Nate Sudfeld on the team. That's one thing for sure. But early, no. Defense, if you want to go get him another weapon, you want to go get him another old lineman, stuff like that, absolutely. That's what they need to do. Now, like I said, Goff and Johnson are really both in sync with each other. You threw Chark in the mix. You brought back Josh Reynolds to join Amon-Ra. JMO entered the fray a little bit late in the season. Didn't do much, but he was there, pretty much playing as a decoy. O-line kept Goff clean all year. They were second lowest sack rate in the NFL, that O-line. They were opening up holes in the run game. So defenses against us were very confused on what we were going to do. It was not one-dimensional. And I think that's another reason why Goff is very successful in this offense, because there's everything around him. He has everything: the O-line, the weapons, the running backs, the tight ends, the wide receivers. And a brilliant offensive coordinator that I hope we don't lose. So, and then Goff he was the 7th in passer rating at 99.3. I think he was sandwiched between guys like Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Those two guys are elite, in my opinion. He was putting up elite numbers. I don't think he's an elite quarterback, but he was doing elite things in the NFL this year. He was 4th in the NFL in yards, just playing good football, and he was holding on to the ball, especially the last 9 games. The last 9 games was incredible football from Jared Goff. Now Holmes is, like I said, he's put pieces around him, and now it needs to continue. He never considered Goff a bridge, not even once. And a lot of us did. I did. There's many fans that did. There's many of my subscribers that did. Many of my subscribers told me that I was out of my mind, that I thought he was a bridge quarterback. And that's okay. Everyone has an opinion. You should never have to apologize for an opinion. I was wrong about Jared Goff. I was, but I'm not going to come out and say sorry about it. If we did that for everything, man, we'd be saying sorry for everything, because not everybody's perfect. You don't see guys on ESPN or NFL Network apologizing for their opinions when something not goes their way. Like, they call someone to have a bad game or a bad year, and that guy has a great year. They're not coming on and saying, "Hey, I apologize to you." And if they're doing it in a mocking way. But I'm not going to do that. There's no slander going on here. Jared Goff has convinced me that he is at least the quarterback for 2023 and beyond for now, because there's 2 more years on his deal. Goff's 28 years old, and he's signed through 2024. That makes him a free agent in 2025. He has no leverage to ask for an extension. He could sit out. He could if he wanted to. But this doesn't seem like the type of player to do that. He doesn't seem like this whole regime is not like that. Whole regime, whole players, the coaching staff, all these guys are all in. I don't see anybody sitting out, especially Jared Goff. He will be our quarterback in 2023. Now his cap hit is around $31 million that for the next 2 years around. So that puts him roughly around the 11th in quarterback cap hit, which is pretty good. That's out of the elite status. It's 1 through 4, I think, are elite, and then downwards you get 2nd tier, 3rd tier. You start talking about those guys, and Goff wants to be here. It's just, that's the main thing too. That was another reason why I was very concerned about Goff, because I really didn't think he wanted to be here. When he first came here in 2021, he played that role perfectly. I thought it was an act. I was like, you come from LA and you go to one of the worst franchises in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, the Detroit Lions. But he was on board. He was all in from day one. And I personally maybe thought, I did think it was an act. I thought it was an act. I thought this guy's going to be bailing in 2 years. He'll be gone after 2023. I was convinced that he was going to be gone by 2023, just because I just didn't think he wanted to be here. And there was a part of me that didn't want him here. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I said, man, like, sports is a very emotional game. And me, myself, I'm a very emotional person. I take things a little bit sometimes to heart. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I was kind of like, he was rubbing me the wrong way. When I was like, this guy's not real, man. But the more you hear this kid talk, everything, you know, he's all in and he wants to win here. And I think that's great. Now, I am not all of a sudden, I'm not flipping the script. I'm not sitting there telling you, oh, I told you so. I was all in on him from get-go. I never was. I'm just telling you, you know what I mean? Because I know some people really take offense. There's YouTubers out there. There's people that are going to be in this chat that are going to come at me and go, oh, look at this guy. He's completely turned around now that Goff had a good year. Well, he did have a great year. Okay? Yeah, I do know that. But I am not flipping the script on him. I still have my concerns about him. I still have concerns about his arm strength. I still have concerns about his lack of mobility. I still have his concerns about his road issues. I really do. You know, and I'm still not going to stop all that, but I'm not going to sit there and tell you, and I never really did this. I never really went out and told you that I wanted a quarterback to replace him. If I said that, I said that through pure emotion, but I was never on board to draft a guy like Bryce Young. I was never on board to draft a guy like CJ Stroud. I still do. I do like Will Levis, but I don't want him at 6. I don't. I thought he was going to be too early at 3 or 4. But I do like Will Levis as a quarterback. But we need defense. We need a guard. I think we need another weapon. We need more things to have him succeed. They're drafting a quarterback, I think right now, he's 28 years old. He's still in the prime of his career. He just showed that he's playing really great football. I don't think a quarterback's necessary right now early. Now, like I said, late, sure, to develop and be his backup. You know, get Nate Sudfeld out of there. But this, you know, I haven't flipped the script, so I don't want people are going to come at me anyways because they can't comprehend things. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just what it is. People are going to think that I flipped the script, and Mark was always, oh, look, he's playing it now. He's playing us. He's lying. No, man. It's none of that. There's none of that going on. I'm just going off. Brad Holmes is saying if Brad Holmes is on board, why can't I? Who am I to back against Brad Holmes? Like, Brad Holmes has done some fantastic things here in 2 years. Year 1 was a disaster. We all knew it was going to be. They had to do a lot of, salary cuts. They had to do this, a lot of dumps, pick up some guys here and there. Those guys are even getting better that they brought back. Year 2, look what happened. We won 9 football games. And I think the road is going to go through Detroit. And I think Stafford. And I think Goff could be the guy that could at least get us a division title. I think he can. I don't know what's going on with Rodgers. Kirk Cousins, I still believe Kirk Cousins and Goff are a similar quarterback. And Justin Fields is a complete mystery. He doesn't look like anything positive really right now. He's a hell of an athlete. He does good things on the ground. But he hasn't really gotten down that quarterback position yet. So, Jared Goff is one of the best quarterbacks in this division. We went 5-1 in this division this year. I seen the schedule coming out. The schedule, I think, favors us for 2023. I see 11-12 wins. We'll talk about that later on down the road. It could even be more. I love that schedule. There's some really tough games in 2023. But we'll get that to on another day. But, 4 quarterbacks actually threw more touchdowns than Goff this season as well, too, eh? 4 quarterbacks threw more touchdowns than Goff this season. All of them Pro Bowlers. And you can make the case that he was snubbed. You can make a case he was snubbed. Like I said, flip a coin for him and Kirk Cousins. I thought, I didn't think it was much difference there. I think Cousins had him in some categories. Goff had him in some categories. I pretty much think they're around the same quarterback anyways. And then now you're looking at Goff as possibly comeback player of the year. And throwing 15 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the last 9 games. That's another big reason why. And then he was even on the betting radar for MVP. Now I think that's a little ridiculous. I think that's a little ridiculous because I remember I went to the casino with my wife, and there's a betting kiosk. Okay, you put your money in and you bet, and we did a football bet for these last week 18 games, and and there was a Super Bowl. There was a Super Bowl winner. There was pick this team. It was this, that. Who's going to be MVP? Who's going to win this award? Who's going to win that award? Jared Goff was literally on the betting radar for MVP. He was like the worst. He had the worst odds, but you could put your money on him. I thought I was a little bit overboard with that, but he was on there, man. So he's getting noticed. He's getting noticed, and hey, man, it's a proud moment, at least for him, right? It's a proud moment, and Lions fans, maybe we got our quarterback. Maybe we got our quarterback. There's still a part of me inside that is not 100% all in, but I am 95% in with this kid. I am. I'm just in because everybody else is trusting him. I'm going to try my damnedest not to be so critical of the guy, but there's still some things I can't stand about him. But, it's all going to be good, and it starts now. And I'm going to leave a little quote from Jared Goff that I really liked that I read today. It's like, the culture is here, the core is here, the foundation is built. Now it's just about people falling into place and doing their jobs consistently, and our expectations and standards continuing to rise. I really like that quote, man. That quote to me speaks volumes about what he wants to do here. He wants to win in Detroit. He does want to win, man. And, had me fooled the whole time. Had me fooled. I never thought he was going to be all in here. I really, really didn't. But he's showing that he cares about this city. He's showing that he cares about this fan base. And what he's really, truly showing is that he cares about his coaches and his teammates. That's big for me. That's really big for me because I thought it was going to be nothing but fake. The coming out of him, being the California Golden Boy, this kid don't want to be here. He does. He does want to be here, and he had a great year. He had a great year. Congratulations to him, man. He did have a good year. Some things you need to clean up, though, bro. I know I got to get that last shot in, but that's just the way I feel. That's just the way I feel, and, it's 100% real coming from me all the time. I just thought I should make this video because I just think, it was good to see Brad Holmes coming out and saying, okay, man, like, enough of this talk. We're not switching our gears around. We're not drafting a quarterback early. It's just not going to happen. No, it is, and I don't think he's jacking around and kind of making up stuff. So it's going to be interesting come draft day, but there's going to be some heavy defense, and you might see a couple weapons thrown in there too. Hopefully, you might see a running back, another wide receiver, a guard. There's going to be some offensive guys mixed in with those defensive guys, so be prepared for it, guys. But Jared Goff's here to stay. He's the 2023 quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Almost got us into the playoffs. And that's it, guys. Thanks for the video. It's a long one, but thank you for paying attention. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button in the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell on the top right. Give it a bop. And don't forget to like, comment, share this out. What do you guys think about Jared Goff, man? He's the quarterback. He's here to stay, man. Let's try to support the dude. We're going to try to support him here on my channel. I've always supported every single Lions player anyways. It's not like I've never not supported him. It's just, maybe I'll just ease up a tiny bit. Maybe just a little bit. Just a little bit, Jared. Just a little bit, man. But take us to the promised land, bro. Take us to the promised land. Please take us to the promised land. But thanks, guys. Appreciate the video. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you. One Pride. Go Lions. Boom.